Well, welcome everyone to this ride. My name is Ian, and today we are going on a ride to a place that a friend had recommended to me. So far, I have been on a couple of rides with friends to South Perth and other places as well. When discussing where else we could go for a bike ride together, this was a place that was recommended because I actually haven't been here before. So I thought, well, why don't I spend a day to ride there and see what it's like. So today we are going to try it out. I am a bit worried about the weather because, as you can see, it is a bit cloudy and it may possibly rain. As always, if you have any questions or if there is anything that you would like me to mention or discuss on these videos, please let me know down below in the comments. I really appreciate it, guys. Thanks for that. Unlike the previous video, instead of heading towards the city, which is pretty much west from my house, we will be going northwest towards Joondalup. Again, we will be following the highway, but instead of heading south on the highway like we did last time, we will be heading west. This little road will take us up a ramp, which will take us onto a pathway. On the other side of this wall is a bridge that goes over the highway. At the top here, we will turn left, which will take us to the top of the bridge. So this is the highway here. On the other side of the highway is this oval where there are teams that play football. I don't actually know if they play any other sports here. So to the left of us is west. And we just make sure that there's no cyclists or pedestrians. Ahead is an intersection where the highway going east to west and the highway going north to south intersect. So we're going to be turning left here. From here we will be moving from the highway that goes north and south to the highway that goes east and west. This time I'm trying a different focal length on the camera, something a bit wider. The goal was to be able to see the whole handlebar. So I do want to be able to see it. The angle I'm not entirely sure about, so I will find out after I do this video whether or not I need to make any more adjustments. In the end, even if it's a little bit high, we still be alright. There's a truck driver says hi. They must find it interesting that I'm riding on this, which is cool. This is the first of a few intersections on the highway that we have to cross. So it does require that we do take a minute to take a breather. I do wish that there would be an underpass or an overpass, like places that I've seen on our last video where there were tunnels and bridges. Sadly here they haven't created anything like that, so we do have to use the pathway to cross. If I did take the path on the left way back where that oval was, I could avoid these lights, but this is much easier if I take this route. Let me just double check that no one's gonna drive over. At the moment I'm only carrying one battery with me because I have a feeling that this trip should be enough for one battery. It's within 50 k's, so I'm hoping that this will work out. Well, I really like this next bit. After this bridge we got to do a U-turn, and then I have actually scraped the pegs on my scooter a couple of times here just because of how sharp this U-turn is. From here we're going to go on the other side of the highway, just crossing this bridge. So we'll go left, and then on the other side there'll be a pathway to continue on. And this is that. We're on the other side now, so we'll continue on to this. And those clouds don't really look very happy. I think there's a couple of drops of rain starting, a little bit of a sprinkle, so hopefully I can find some shade or get out of this rain before it really pours down. The weather again today is a bit iffy. I'm not entirely sure if it will rain, and if it does rain, how much it will rain. Oh yeah, and to give you guys a bit more understanding about the Emove Roadrunner that I'm riding, the battery capacity, they advertise it as 80 kilometers per battery charge. I'm finding realistically it is about 55 kilometers average, so between 50 and 60 kilometers depending on the terrain that you're riding. And Perth is pretty hilly in some places, so if you live in an area where it's pretty flat, then you'll most likely get different numbers than I do. So crossing the road here, we will be taking this pathway to go up the ramp here, which takes us to one of the back roads. And this is another fun bit where you do a complete U-turn, and sadly there's a patch of sand there, but if it's all clear, you can try and do a bit of a racing line there. The downside of this particular part here is because there are some trees, and this is not exactly the right material that they used for this pathway, so it does get bumpy. There are cracks, and it is a lot easier for the tree roots to make it, like break through and push it up. And it looks like there's some more rain, so hopefully we can find shade very soon, because I don't want to be soaking wet while I'm riding around. For one, it doesn't feel good. The other issue is because it's not a sunny day, that wetness will make everything cold with the wind pushing against me. So just trying to find something that can work. I mean, as you can see from the camera, it's not exactly a light rain. There's lots of rain. Oh, maybe there's one here. Can we stop here? Oh yes, okay. So let's stop here for a little bit. Right, so let's keep going. There's a bit of a break in the rain, so hopefully from this point on we'll have more trees like that to duck under in case it rains again. See how we go. Now from this point on, I'm not entirely sure where we're going. I just have a general idea of what we're doing, where we're going, and I know the location in relation to previous places that I'm going to, but as regards to these streets here, I have no idea which street I'm supposed to take. Oh yeah, so now I know where we are. We'll end up turning right here. We'll jump onto the other side of this road, and they've actually got a dedicated lane for cyclists which we can jump onto, and that'll come in handy. I'll just try and find a way to cross the road. See this bit that's reddish on both sides? This is a cycle lane. So I don't think these have been here for that long, but it does come in handy. Cyclists are allowed on it, so I'm going to ride in it. It's a lot better than the pathway, at least. This Emove Roadrunner has two motors, one for the front wheel, one for the rear wheel, so you can choose between using one of the motors or both of them at the same time. I did a test to see if there would be a difference between using just one motor versus using both motors at the same time, and how that affects the range when I'm riding. And personally I found that it doesn't really make much difference. It's not like one motor is eco mode and two motors is power mode or sport mode. You get similar amounts of range using one or the other. And I guess living in Perth where it is hilly, I just leave it in dual mode. When you turn on the Emove Roadrunner, it'll automatically start in single motor mode. So I'll always switch it to dual motor mode so that both motors are running at about similar distances to each other. So they'll be wearing out similar amounts to each other. And that ensures that I have power throughout the ride. I have contacted the shop where I bought the Roadrunner from, and asked if switching between single motor mode and dual motor mode while moving would cause an issue, and they have told me that because it's a geared setup where the engagement, it's toothed, so it's better to stop then switch modes and then keep going. So in that case, it would be a lot better if I just stick to dual motor mode. And it's nice to see that there are some blue skies. It's nice and sunny some more. Hopefully it continues to be like this. In one of the previous videos, I did mention about the pros and cons, and actually come to think of it, I realized that there's another con to this Roadrunner, and that it's not really designed as a utility vehicle. So because of that, luggage is a bit of an issue. And I've been noticing this even in some of the electric motorbikes that have been coming out, that they are more cafe racer style than a utility vehicle. And so as regards to putting on luggage with this on top of the battery in the frame, in the middle of the frame, you can put a bag in there, you can put a bag on your back, but there isn't really anywhere else. And in some cases you do need, well, for me in particular, I do need that extra space. And it's something that I will need to think about down the track, is how I am going to put together a rack of some kind where I can put on more luggage, like pannier bags. I would say that is another con, especially if you're looking at this from a utility viewpoint. There have been some that have asked me how fast the Roadrunner can go, and to be honest, I don't even know how fast it can go, because you can adjust the parameters for the motors and the controller, and this was first built for the American market, so everything is in the Imperial system, and so for that reason you have to adjust it back to the metric system, and that means dialing it down. So whatever speed and settings that are set from factory is actually different to what it is at the moment. Now I've tried to adjust it as close as I can to the metric system so that the odometer reads as close as possible, and that was towards the beginning, before using the Samsung Health app. At the moment I don't really use the odometer because I use the Samsung Health app to keep track of how far I've ridden, and that allows me to record more accurately where I've been, how far I've ridden, and it gives me more accurate numbers as regards to how far the Roadrunner has ridden. Right, so it looks like we have to try and work out to get to One Row Road. The park that my friend suggested is on the corner of, well, near the corner of One Row Road and Nangara Road. So what we're heading to is one of those main roads, and then from there we just travel north until we meet up with that intersection with Nangara Road, and then just ride around and figure out where the beginning is. So that's what I'm trying to do here. Well, this is Nangara Road, so we simply just gotta cross over here and then pass behind and through these two cars, and then the park that my friend suggested should be on the left somewhere, so we'll just ride in and maybe try and work out where the entrance is. Maybe we'll ride up a bit further to see if there's a street. If not, then we'll just turn around and follow Nangara Road and see if there's something on the other road. Hepburn Avenue, sorry. So this is the road from One Row Road, and the end of this should be where that lake is, or that park. To continue on the ride from here back home, we are not going to be following the same route home. We're actually going to be following a different route because I'm curious about this Hepburn Avenue. I'm interested to see what path I need to take on Hepburn Avenue. This looks cool. I like this view. I brought my camera along. There's my XT3 with a very old lens which I've had for 10 years now probably. It's a Sigma 17-50 f2.8. So we'll get all this sorted out and adjust these settings and see if I can get a photo from here, and I will let you guys check out that photo. I wasn't expecting to take photos, but this looks nice. And now let's continue on this ride. I'll make this into a time lapse, then you can see everything so that you guys don't get bored watching this in real-time speed. That way you can see the whole pathway around this lake in its entirety, and then we will be back. Enjoy the time lapse, guys. Right, let's start heading home. Just head right back again to those traffic lights, and then we can work our way onto Hepburn Avenue, and from there head home. Right, so we've just ducked into the shops to cut through the car park to get to Hepburn Avenue rather than going along the pathway. This is Hepburn Avenue now, and we are heading east at the moment, which is towards my house. From there we can take a few streets and we're back on track to get home. And I'm happy to see that the weather has cleared up and there are blue skies, less clouds, it's sunny. So far I feel good about this ride. And that lake, that pathway, that would be, I would say, a very nice bike ride. So the next time my friends and I go for a bike ride, I at least know that that lake would be a good one to go to. Hopefully that'll be in a future vlog and you guys will get to enjoy it. Oh boy. I will admit that taking this route feels a lot more faster than going the route that we took before, because we are actually not that far from home. It's probably going to be like another half an hour. Even though I've had to stop quite a few times on this road, there are a few roundabouts, which does make it a bit harder to know when to cross the road. These cars are going at like 70 kilometers an hour. Sadly, not everyone indicates to show you where they are going. And so you kind of have to take a second to be sure that they are actually turning or going straight. A reminder for everyone, if there is any questions that you have or anything that you would like me to mention or talk about on future rides, please feel free to mention them down below. I do hope that you enjoyed this ride with me, exploring some of the things and some of the places near my house in the Perth area. Now this is a place that I am familiar with. Further up is a bridge that, when the weather is good, I like to ride here and watch the sunset. And this isn't far from home. We won't be able to go onto the bridge, but we'll at least be going under it, so you have an idea of where it is. And it is right on top of this road here. So if I sit in the middle of, on the bridge, but in the middle of this road, that's probably one of the better views. And it's great because you are 3 stories high, and the only thing that's in your way are maybe the trees on the horizon, so you don't actually get to see the horizon when you watch the sunset. I bring my camping chair, make sure that I've got some warm clothes, and right up there, open up the camping chair, relax, take it easy, and just enjoy the sunset for a bit before I head home and have dinner. But we can't do it now because it's a bit too early for it. See this bridge right here. But we're just going to keep going, and from here it is pretty easy to get back to my place. So this is the tunnel where we actually turned down that road, that tunnel there, at the beginning of this ride. So now we are pretty much following the route that we took from my house to that tunnel there, just following it straight back to my place. So this on-ramp here, or this uphill ramp, is an example of why using both motors is handy. This is pretty steep going up this ramp, so having the dual motors gives me that confidence that I can go up this, whereas if I was using just the one motor, it may have been a bit not as confidence inspiring. So, and this is why whenever I turn on my Roadrunner, I'll automatically switch it to dual motor mode rather than leave it in the single motor mode. That way I don't have to worry about anything on my route. I'll always have the power that I need. And if I need less power, then I just push less on the thumb throttle. We are now back in suburbia, so we can ride on the road. Everything's a lot more slower paced. Well, it's a lot easier to see oncoming traffic, and there isn't that pressure to do things quickly, to go fast, and just take it easy for the rest of this ride. Maybe only a few more kilometers. But with that in mind, thanks everyone for joining me on this ride. We checked out a lake, we explored new roads, and have a better idea of, if I was to take Hepburn Avenue, what side I should be on coming home. And it was great. I really enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. I do hope that you join me next time when I go for a ride. Until then, thanks everyone.